We were going to talk about spring break stuff.
And then wrapping it up, we've got a super awesome story we want to tell you about the last spring break that we ever had as students.
Last year for spring break, so my parents came up from Kansas, and my sister and brother-in-law came down, and they were in Laramie at the time, and we all met in Fort Collins to rent a white transit van, and we took a road trip, a 17-hour road trip, from Fort Collins, Colorado, clear over to San Diego, California. And my grandma has beachfront property down there. She's got a condo in Imperial Beach, which is just south of like San Diego. It's actually the most southwestern city in the United States. So, little fun fact for you. So we did that, and we were there for a week, and we went boogie boarding. We went to La Jolla. We went to Mission Beach and everything, and it was a really fun time. So I got sunburnt a little on my nose. And I actually had hair then, so I didn't get my head burned. But that might be a little different if I went today. Gosh, what else? Oh, we went deep sea fishing too, and that was a lot of fun. And it was kind of a funny thing because at first I wasn't catching anything. You know, we get on our boat, we go out into the San Diego Bay Area and a little bit past that, and I wasn't catching anything. And you know, people were kind of starting to give me a hard time because they already caught like 2 or 3. And by the end of the day, I out-caught everybody. So California is a neat place.
When I was younger, we, or I guess it was like high school, we went, we'd go visit my grandparents down in Arizona, down in Sun City West. And like the first time we went down there, it was really cool. I thought it was all like exotic. It was like we're like coming down out of the mountains, like from this like great, it was like 7,000 feet, like all the way down to like sea level, like real quick on this one highway. And it goes from like pine trees, and then like you come through like around like a corner, it seems, and you're like, oh look, now it's just like a forest of gigantic cactus, and there's just like thousands and thousands of like 30-foot tall cactus everywhere as you're coming down this road. And then we went like through a cloud of June bugs, and it just sounded like a freaking like just a bunch of firecrackers, and the whole windshield just complete. It looked like someone like threw a bucket of water on the windshield.
Oh,
and we like could barely see out of it, and it smeared everywhere, and it was gross.
That's so nasty.
And then we got the rest of the way down there and got into Arizona. It was really hot and like sunny, and it was all nice. And we got down. We were visiting my family, and we went, and they had like these geckos that are like completely transparent. They don't have any pigment, and they only come out at night. And so like on that side, all over like the outside of this house, like with the flashlight, if you went out there, like there's just like completely transparent geckos. You can like see their lungs and their heart and everything. And they crawl on the walls.
Wow.
And then and they're like 4 inches long at most. Yeah. They're like real little. And then we went on a bike trip. We went like bicycling the next day, and we ended up. I ended up getting like heat stroke real bad because like we went like right in the middle of the day, and then I got super sick, and like I had like a temperature of like 104, and I was just like in the bedroom, like on the floor, like half out of my mind, like hallucinating and like throwing up and being sick for the rest of spring break. It was awesome.
Something that I did like every spring for like 4 or 5 years, being in like music as an elementary, middle school kid, was like the choir. I don't know who started this, if it was the band or the choir, but every spring we'd go down to compete in like Salt Lake. There'd be a competition down there, and you could, play your music, do all of that. But then there's also this place called Lagoon. It's very close. It's like Six Flags, a big old roller coaster park, and so as each of these groups would finish up competing, we'd all go to Lagoon like the same day. So it was the Lagoon trip. But because one like department, the choir, did it, then also the band did it, and because I was in everything musical, because it was a small town, I would end up going to Lagoon like 3 or 4 times a year for like 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
And I just thought that was normal. It wasn't until like way later I'm like, wow, all right. I like that. I love
Nice.
Lagoon. I didn't ever get tired of it. I remember there's new stuff every time. I had like my Lagoon bag. Because it just like got to be this thing, so I'd like pack my essentials, you know, I'd have my sunscreen or like my swimsuit because there was like some water slides at Lagoon. You know, I'd have all of like my Lagoon stuff in this like one bag that I only used for Lagoon trips, which made me laugh. But so in retrospect, I'm like, huh, that was pretty nice.
My grandma owns a house down in Moab, Utah. So every year for spring break, we would drive down to Moab and stay at her house and hang out and do the things that you do in Moab. And one of the first years that we started doing it, I was pretty little, we went on a hike up to Delicate Arch, which is the famous arch of like all of Utah. And if you've never actually been there, it's on like, I don't really know how to describe it, like kind of the side of a cliff, but it's like this really rounded cliff, which is a weird way to describe it. But so we were hiking up to it, and once we got around the corner where you could finally see it off in the distance, I got really excited and tried to run around the edge of the giant bowl to get to it, and slipped.
Oh,
And
jeez.
started tumbling towards the edge of the cliff.
Oh,
and luckily
gosh.
caught myself, but
That's
almost died.
Scary.
It was an intense moment.
Dang.
So
Wow.
there's that for you.
The spring
The
break.
last spring break we ever had.
that changed our lives forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Greatest spring break of my life.
It was pretty neat.
Seriously,
we had a good
though.
time. So 2 years ago, we made plans with a studio down in Boulder called KMG Studios, and we made plans to record a 5-song EP. And so we booked out a week with them, and we went and drove down to, well, because we were up in Laramie at the time, so we took the little trek down to Boulder, and we recorded a 5-song EP with those guys, and learned a lot, and grew, and got to know each other really well, and
Just an overall amazing experience.
it was a really neat experience.
A week of
Definitely.
recording.
Got
Yeah.
to stay in a
Awesome.
sweet condo.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
condo was
that's
bad.
It was,
That was
very
cool.
cool.
Not too far from the studio, so that was nice. Although it did snow like crazy
It did.
that week. I remember driving
last
back
night.
from
Oh, yeah.
from Greg's house back to the condo in the middle of the night.
I drove.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Kylie doesn't remember. Or
Kelly doesn't remember.
Only sort of remembers.
Hey, I remember that actually very vividly because it was scary as heck. Like,
I was passed out in the back.
Jack wasn't.
I don't
there.
remember it.
Yeah.
you and Logan were both just
We were gone.
gone.
Uh-huh.
There's some stories, but
But yeah, it was a good time. We went and recorded and stuff. And, like we were there for a week, and like towards the end, we got done with our like last little bit of recording. I think and we got back to the condo, and just like we're like wrapping up stuff. And like I don't know if we were making food or what we were doing, but
just
talking, and
had a
we're
huge heart-to-heart.
yeah, just had this like really like heart to heart type of thing. It's like, well, like that was awesome. Like this was like one of the most amazing things like I've ever done, that we've ever done. Like, do we would just want like, are we like serious? Like, do we really want to do this? Like, are we gonna take our relationship to the next level? And like, we just we talked about like like if we all decided to like, do we want to move? Like, are we gonna move to Colorado? Do we want to like get to a place with more people and a bigger scene and
Take this more seriously.
yeah, and like take this more seriously and like actually go do this and like start to like make a product and record music and network and meet people and go do it. And we decided we did.
Because we're responsible humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least a little.
Yeah. We tried really hard to be.
We're responsible T-Rexes.
Yeah.
That's the thumbnail right there.
There we go.
Got it. Done.
Nailed it.
If there's a memory you guys have, you can put it down in the comments.
Yeah,
and
share your
stuff like
memories
that.
with us. We want to see
Yeah.
them.
So, because spring is an awesome time of year, and
Yes.
spring break is always fun because it was like the last little break before we were done with the school year, and
Yeah.
so good times. With that, we want to thank you guys so much for joining us tonight.
This has been Fat Stallion.
If you liked what you saw, don't be afraid to lift your hand up and with all of your might, smack it down on that like button and subscribe too. And you can check out all of our other videos over now. But thank you guys so much for joining us. You guys have a fantastic evening and a great spring. And we will catch you next week on Fat Stallions 8 p.m. date night. Bye-bye!
Bye!